Hello, everybody. My name's James. Welcome back to the Planet FPL Weekender with my Friday partner in crime, David Hunter, is back. How are you, David?
All good, thanks, mate. Yeah, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Thank you, mate. On the podcast today, we're going to be kind of giving a bit of a review of a big week of Champions League football. We're going to bleed that into a discussion on the tactical point for one of the games at the weekend, and going to have a look at some free hit and some wildcard drafts for game week 5. Spoiler: me and David both hate them, but we will cover them in any case. That makes it sound like this podcast is short. It probably won't be because we've watched a lot of football this week. Although, David, you told me you only kind of half watched Arsenal on Tuesday.
Yeah, it was on, and I did watch it, but it wasn't really to Arsenal credit. In fairness, I mean, I don't know if we're going to start on Arsenal straight away, but very tricky opponents. Tough place. Going to say tough place to go, Bilbao. It's a place you're familiar with, obviously, isn't it?
Oh, I can't remember.
Um, they just did a really professional job on Athletic Bilbao. All credit to Arsenal. So much so that they kind of stopped it from being a really exciting game, and did what they needed to do when the subs came on. So yeah, it dawned on me on Tuesday like what great options Arsenal have got now in terms of coming off the bench.
Squad depth is insane.
Yeah.
It's
So
the strongest, arguably anywhere. I'm not even just talking about in our country.
can you think even like last season, a game like that without Saliba and Saka, you'd kind of think that's going to be a big ask for them, really, isn't it? But Mosquera yet again was really, really good for them at the back. Madueke played really aggressively high up the pitch on the right hand side. Again, had another good game. And then they're bringing players on like Hincapié at the end. The substitutes they bring on, Martinelli and Trossard, they were probably starting the majority of games last season. They came on and both got a goal and assist each. Um, yeah, really professional performance. I'd say that's the word I would use, really. He brought Martinelli on Arteta and just left him up front, really. I had a look at the average positions this morning, actually, because just to confirm what I thought. And Martinelli's average position actually looks quite comedic, really. He just basically
In the
an
box.
old-fashioned goal hanger, really. Yeah, it was just stayed up front. Took his goal well. Second touch of the for the goal was
So,
really
so when
good.
Gyökeres went off, they played Martinelli through the middle, yeah?
Seemed to be, yeah, yeah. I mean, so Gyökeres came off first, if I remember rightly, for Trossard, and then he took Ezra off for Martinelli. And Martinelli, yeah, he was really advanced. Yeah, took his goal really well. Very, very impressive from Arsenal. I think if they want to make top eight, those are the kind of games that they probably need to get 3 points rather than one, I think. And yeah, fair play to them. They kind of it was a lively atmosphere. I mean, it was quite notable that there was just loads of replica shirts in the crowd. Like it seemed like everyone was wearing a red and white shirt. But they quietened it down quite well. Rice and Zubimendi were reasonably deep, so yeah, they were largely quite comfortable, to be fair. And yeah, Gyökeres took a bit of a. He only played an hour or so. He got quite a nasty cut on his head at one point. So he had kind of like a old fashioned headband, Terry Butcher style, round his head for a bit. Could have scored had Madueke had a bit more of a right foot at one point. Madueke went himself on the right at one point. But yeah, yeah, credit to Arsenal, good result. Thought it was a job well done.
Yeah, outstanding result. It's interesting. No one wants to throw the narrative that they did after Arsenal lost at Liverpool about they didn't go for it enough. Like this easily could have finished 0-0. It
Yeah,
feels like from what I've heard. And I don't know if people would have been throwing that narrative because actually I think with the fixtures Arsenal got, a draw would have been okay here. So the
mm-hmm.
result, the win is actually it's a brilliant result. That squad depth is mad. I'm just trying to think while he was talking about what an 11 would look like of Arsenal players that didn't start. So like Kepa, White, Saliba, Hincapi, Lewis Skelly, Norgard, Odegaard, Saka, Jesus, Havertz, Trossard. There's someone else I'm missing in that midfield area that's escaping me
Martin
at the moment.
Martinelli didn't start, did he?
Martinelli.
Yeah,
So the squad depth they've got now is Wanyeri. That was the name I
and
was
yeah,
I was missing. The squad depth they've got is Yeah, really, really good. They're going to be able to manage injuries much better than they have in the past. And as you said, I mean, they kind of already are, right? No Saka, no Saliba, no problem. Very good result. It was no real problem for my team either, but it wasn't a thriller on
No,
Tuesday night. We scored early for a ridiculously stupid goal. The goalkeeper's thrown one in. And it obviously impacted the game state of the match, the fact that essentially Tottenham were winning for 90 minutes of the game. Villarreal were a very competent side. It was quite intriguing to see a team come and pretty much play the same way with and without possession. So we used to so many teams playing 4-4-2 without the ball. They're very much 4-4-2 with the ball. I think that's a legacy that even goes back to the Unai Emery era when he was there. Good side, but didn't have a shot on target, despite the fact they had several good opportunities. My side only had one shot on target, by the way. The game didn't feel as dull as that. And actually, I thought we played quite well in the first half. Second half, bloody hell, that football's like hot potato. We just couldn't keep it. Did you watch the game as well?
I did. Yeah, I stuck it out.
Shite.
I had the alerts on my phone in the second half, and I was tempted to turn it over because it was going mad in the Juventus game, and it was the Real Madrid game was in the balance as well. But I thought, yeah, I'll keep going with it. I think as you said on the Tottenham the other day, it's just mad how many times you gave the ball away in that second half.
Everybody.
Yeah, yeah, it was which made it quite a tough watch, to be fair. But my main takeaway is that I think we have to really get our heads around the fact that Tottenham are a completely different side now. Like you are defensively solid, something you would never have said last season. And what that means is you can kind of pick up results when you're not playing scintillating football going forward. And I think Thomas Frank deserves a lot of credit for what he's done really in such a short amount of time. Because yeah, when you've got that, the keeper's solid enough, isn't he? Vicario, back four are all good. They were always good individual defenders, I think. And then you put Paulinho in front of them. It's quite tough to break down, isn't it? And yeah, the attacking side of things, there's obviously quite a few injuries and new players, isn't it? So I give Frank a pass on that. Really, that's quite hard to implement that in such a short amount of time. So yeah, playing to be
Did you watch the
optimistic
game at
about.
West Ham as well?
Yes, I did. Yeah,
What's your first impressions on Simmons?
yeah, I like him. Yeah, I like him. He was on the left a lot, wasn't he, at West
Yeah.
Ham?
And it's
Um,
same Tuesday night.
yeah, don't know whether that should be where he eventually ends up, really, but you could tell he does certain things sometimes where you think, oh yeah, that's good. That's like he's quite a quick thinker, isn't he? When he gets the ball and has ideas at like sort of threading little through balls to maybe things that his teammates will need a little bit of time to get used to. But you can tell he's got a bit of swagger about him, hasn't he? Yeah, I think you'll enjoy watching him.
Yeah, that's not really where I want to see him play, but I accept it at the moment because I think there's obviously a priority being made to fix up the defensive side of things first, which certainly in terms of the goals conceded column, um, is very much on the improve, but I would suggest that it's also an overperformance against the data at the moment. Yeah, Simmons he's got really nice close control, like he can beat a man without being exceptionally skillful or exceptionally quick. It's the ball's close to him. It can act like a bit like glue. Yeah, I'd like to get him in more central areas, but I think we're gonna have to wait for that. Um, if you want to punt it, people keep asking because the next three fixtures are quite good on paper. Yeah, I don't mind, but he's not going to go mental.
No,
Kudos is the same story that always is outstanding again. Did he look like scoring? No, it's the same message after every game. Richarlison didn't start at West Ham. Pretty sure he'll start at Brighton tomorrow. I do think Paulinho will also start. That means that one of the other midfield will probably miss out. Probably one of Sarr or Bergvall, I think, will probably miss out tomorrow. It's just a cause of rotation. I'm not sure which way that will go because Sarr's obviously shown himself. Frank loves the athleticism in him. His energy is phenomenal, and Bergvall's had a brilliant week.
yeah,
So it's just a case of rotating players. Essentially, there'll be for a lot of the Premier League sides. Remember, this weekend they're obviously going to heavily rotate in the Carabao Cup on Wednesday and Tuesday, as in Liverpool's case. Is Isak starting against Southampton on Tuesday, David, or is he starting against Everton? He's had a price rise in FPL overnight. I
yes, yeah.
cannot believe it.
A lot of Liverpool fans investing, I think, on that front. No, I don't think he starts tomorrow. I think he starts Southampton. He looked pretty knackered after 60 minutes, although looked good. I think Slot said himself after the game he looked sharper and fitter than he
Well, for
actually
130
expected him
million, I
to.
hope he does look good, David. In fairness, you kind of want that player to
Yeah,
hit the ground running quickly, don't you?
yeah. I was talking from a pure fitness point of view there. Not that. Yeah, it shouldn't have been a surprise that he looked good at football. He is good at football. Yeah. um, yeah, I think the turnaround from Wednesday night to Saturday lunchtime when we've got Ekatike ready to go, I don't think it wouldn't be a massive shock, I suppose, if Slot wants to get minutes in him from the start again. But I don't know what message that would send out to Ekatike. Really, I do think he'll start tomorrow. In terms of the game, yeah, we were really good. Arguably the best football we played all season. The
Right, stop
scoreline,
that, David. You can't keep having these last minute winners. It can't continue, David. It can't continue.
it can.
All right, Mick McCarthy.
um, yeah, should never have got to 2-2. We hopefully as time goes on, people will know that I'm a fairly level-headed Liverpool fan. I'm not going to sort of go off on us when we don't deserve it. But we did play really well on Wednesday, and yeah, far better than Atletico. Really, we should never have got to 2-2. Really, Mo Salah was back on it.
His data from Wednesday
Yeah,
night is mental. XGI of nearly two,
yeah,
I was saying.
a goal worth of XG and a goal worth of XA. I saw. I think
Yeah.
took his goal brilliantly. That's when
He
all of
was
his
really determined to get into the position, wasn't
yeah
he? That's Mo at his best, yeah.
all that time in the gym pays off there. I think it was yeah just out muscled a couple of athletic defenders and took his goal really well. Yeah, there were good performances all over the pitch. Really, the one I want to mention really is Ryan Gravenberg, who I put on our Slack on Wednesday night. I can't believe what a player he's turned into. It's just, when it looked like we really needed a number six, and we were in for Zubimendi quite seriously, weren't we? Slot kind of. I don't know whether it was out of necessity or whether he always
But
knew
I
that.
think it's fair to say you tried to get Zubimendi,
Yeah,
right?
we definitely did. Yeah, yeah, and yeah, I think it's fair to say most Liverpool fans wouldn't swap Gravenberch for Zubimendi now at this point. No offense to Zubimendi, who started his career at
Oh,
Arsenal quite
I'm
well.
hearing Arsenal fans, they probably wouldn't either.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure they wouldn't. Yeah, but yeah, I think I remember you saying ages ago about Phil Foden, like the way he receives the ball is really good. You know, in terms of like taking it on the turn and
He receives one foot
receives
and
it
he's
well.
moving at the same time
Yeah,
to then carry him straight forward. Yeah, I know what
yeah,
you mean.
and I think Gravenberch is on a par, if not better than him, because the areas he sometimes picks up the ball kind of honestly takes your breath away sometimes. The way he sort of spins with the ball under pressure and just he sort of takes the ball in a safe area away from his opponent. Absolutely brilliant. So yeah, he was brilliant again. Isak looked decent. Verts had a good game. Maybe come on to him for FPL in a bit. He didn't have a shot, it must be said. Didn't really look like he got into some dangerous positions, but didn't have a shot.
It was a nice pass for Salah when he hit the
Yeah,
post, wasn't it? Like he'd seen it out the corner of his eye, hasn't
yeah, he looked like he had a decent immediate relationship with Isak as well, so that's positive. Yeah, I was just really excited watching this new Liverpool team really because they're all of a great age and they're only going to get better once they get used to each other really. Um, Atletico did score twice. First one's a bit dubious, I think. He's
Yeah, it's offside, I think. Yeah,
Griezmann in Alisson's way.
I'll say it for you. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's offside.
yeah. If that was given against us, I think there would have been a lot of people complaining about that. I think. So if we'd scored that, I think I would have.
If you hadn't won,
Would
David,
have
we
said
might
the
have heard
same. Yeah,
more about it. I think.
yeah. And the second one, great technique from Llorente out, out of the sky. It's good hit on the volley, but it takes a deflection past Alisson. So
Brilliant back heel finish from McAllister.
yeah,
Some ability that.
it's like Robbo's no look finish for the for his goal as well.
I don't even know he had the goal to celebrate like that,
Yeah,
as if he didn't know that it hadn't taken another deflection afterwards because he
I
was so
know.
unaware.
Yeah, I love that from Robbo. Yeah, the nerve of that guy to do that. But yeah, it was. squeaky bum time at the end to win it, but we were worthy winners, I think.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
appears that way. That's what I've heard. Statistically, it looks that way as well. So I think there have been question marks on the game so far this season in terms of whether you deserve them or not. I know people even conflicted in terms of how well Burnley defended, but I mean, if you want to strip the data from Sunday, you would better team by a distance, right? This won't continue if you keep winning games at this stage, but it's a good mentality to have, and I think it's also for the fan base. It leaves them knowing, well, it's like it's our time. If it's level going into the last 10 minutes, there's like a feeling that will begin to grow as a consciousness because of it. I think the encouraging signs is actually this was probably your best performance
it was. I think so.
of
Yeah,
of the season. Talk about Verts now. I'm an FPL owner.
yeah.
What am I doing with this prick, mate?
First of all, don't call him a prick. Second of all,
And also,
uh,
I'll tell you what, I'll ask a deeper question. Is he escaping criticism in the sense that because you keep winning?
from Liverpool fans,
No, I'm actually just mean from generally, in the sense that a lot of players come over here and the price tag does stick.
yeah.
For whatever reason with him, I don't know if it's because you bought Isak as well. People aren't going, oh, hang on, we probably should be expecting a little bit more outputs. And I know it's early doors, and I think he's a great player, but should we be expecting more than what we've seen so far for what he's cost?
I think that's fair. Yeah, I think you're right about maybe there's been so much chat about Isak that Verts has had a bit of an easier ride as a result of that. Worth saying he's had a bit of a tough baptism in terms of his initial opponents. So we started off with Bournemouth and Newcastle away. So that's two intense teams. And in the case of Newcastle, his head must have been spinning after a game like that. It was quite a mad atmosphere. And then he's got Arsenal, one of the best teams in the country. So I was expecting a bit more at Burnley. I'm not going to lie. I thought he did okay, but I thought,
Peripheral is the word I would use.
yeah, um, much better on Wednesday. Definitely, yeah, got into some great positions. Works really hard. He's all over the place. He does have slight preference to sort of move out left, I think, but he will pop up on the right sometimes as well. Um, it's coming with Verts. That's in terms of a Liverpool player. If we're going to talk FPL, I would understand anyone who wanted to move him on. Although I wouldn't be in a rush to do it before this week. If you unless you've got someone, I could kind of understand maybe Semenyo if you've got a burning desire to get Semenyo in, then fair enough. But I wouldn't sell him for the sake of it when we've got what will be a tough game tomorrow. But can he get off the mark tomorrow? Absolutely, yeah. In terms of positions he's taking up at the moment. So yeah, I understand why there's been a bit of chat because the fact of the matter is he hasn't scored or assisted yet. I don't think he's assisted yet, has he? I don't think he's even got
Nope.
assist yet. So, but it's coming. It is coming. I think it is.
Thanks, David. Brilliant. So if you were sitting there and had 3 million in the bank to go Verts to Parma, would you or wouldn't you? You don't even need 3 million, by the way. It's about 2 million.
But I don't think Palmer's going to go off at United tomorrow, though, is he? I'd wait. I think I'd wait a week. Everton at home versus United away. I wouldn't be in a rush to do that this week.
Thank you. That's confirmation bias confirmed. Cheers, mate. I'll blame you. I won't blame you if the Liverpool result goes wrong on Saturday. Segue into Chelsea. While David was watching Liverpool, I watched Chelsea at Bayern. And Chelsea largely played quite well, pretty much until the point Bayern got 3-1 up. And then the game was away from. And Chelsea could have ended up on the receiving end of a scoreline that would have been very, very harsh. But once it went 3-1, yeah, Bayern were completely dominant. And they were beginning to be more dominant from that point onwards. But Chelsea played quite well first half. They were very unfortunate to be in a position where they were 2-0 down. They end up own goal and a penalty, which Harry Kane does really well to win off Casado.
Clever, isn't he? I've
Kane,
seen it. Yeah.
yeah, Kane just gets on the wrong side of Casado, and Casado tries to get his body round. And 9 times out of 10, Casado will get his body round and win the ball. Harry's too experienced. He kind of almost leans into Casado to make sure that, yeah, Harry's very good at that sort of thing. And it was intriguing that essentially Kane managed to get himself in massive space for that goal, and then also the third goal, which came from um, kind of an unforced error, really, from Malo Gusto playing the ball backwards. I say unforced error; he was under pressure, but he's ended up putting Kane through with a dream pass. Harry just moves his body to the right side and wraps it into the far corner. He was exceptional, Harry Kane. Absolutely brilliant. And I know the main focus here would be Chelsea, but just want to say on Bayern, they're playing with a really nice fluidity. I saw them play against us in a friendly before the season started. They won 4-0 and it could have been 10-0. Absolutely walloped us. And they have really nice movement at the moment. It's not just Kane dropping short. Gnabry played the 10 position while Jamal Musiala's injured. Also really dropping short. Both fullbacks just disappearing into weird zones at times. Wingers not having to sit into wide zones all the time. So much fluidity, which means if you want to go man to man with them, makes it really, really difficult. Because on goal kicks, you could have like Kane almost looking like he's an 8 at times, and fullbacks ahead of him from like goal kicks. Wild, some of the movements and stuff. They're definitely susceptible to turnovers and people that break on quick transitions. So on Chelsea's goal, they end up with kind of 70 yards from goal. Chelsea have a 5v4 on Bayern, and exploit it really well. And it's an exceptional goal from Palmer, who I have to
Yeah,
say looked great when he came on at Brentford and looked really good pretty much up till 3-1 in this as well. He did actually have a goal disallowed, which
saw
was a
that. Yeah,
great finish,
yeah,
comfortably offside, although it was given on the field originally. But he was quite quiet in the last half hours. I was actually surprised Chelsea didn't take him off because I think going into the final 15 minutes or so, it was kind of clear that the game was up. And I think it would have been acceptable to say there's another game in 3 days. That should bode well, although he did grab his groin towards the end of the game, which we know is the problem that has been bothering him. But on what I've seen over the last week, yeah, very interesting getting Palmer in quite quickly. That's a plan for me either for next week or for game week 8.
yeah,
Cut the different plans I've got in mind. I could end up captaining possibly next week if I decide to keep taking that big Norwegian on. I think Chelsea fans shouldn't beat themselves up about this too much. I think they showed a bit of inexperience at key times, and it is still quite a young side. I think we easily forget that. I think in the kind of the central areas with the likes of Casado, Fernandez in that midfield, like is really, really strong. Palmer played off the right. I know many people have this kind of theory that his returns are better from that position. The rest of the team, though, much of it feels like it's just a small level below, and they don't have the depth of, say, what we've spoken about with Arsenal. They picked basically the same team that played against Paris Saint-Germain, bar Adebayo played instead of Colwell, because obviously he's injured. Setup wasn't quite the same in the Club World Cup final. We had Neto kind of pulling back into left back positions quite a lot. That was the deal specifically with Hakimi in that game. So defensively, it wasn't the same setup, but offensively, pretty similar. And that's with Reece James operating in central midfield alongside Casado, Enzo Fernandez taking up a higher position, Cole Palmer to the right, Cucurella fairly deep, Gusto pushes on, Palmer's allowed to get in the 10 position. All that bit of it is fairly similar, and that's 2 games now where against really, really, and we're talking about elite opponents here, Maresca's gone with that system. And I think it's something we should be wary of that when they play yourselves in game week 7 or when they play Arsenal in game week 13, this might be his kind of go-to setup. I think
yeah,
this is what he thinks for the strongest opponents is the sort of setup that he wants to go with. And when I think of those that didn't play to operate in that way, only things like maybe would Garnacho or Esteval come into the team. Otherwise, I don't think it'd be much different
yeah,
from that. So we were looking at near enough Chelsea's strongest team. I think we'll get something a bit different again at Manchester United. And ironically, Chelsea can probably take a few more risks than what they took on Wednesday night. But I think as long as Palmer's given the kind of all clear today, which I'd anticipate, him, João Pedro, they'll play, I think. Remember
yeah,
again, Carabao Cup next midweek. That's the rest. Chelsea got Lincoln. They're going to change the old bloody team for that. I think
yeah.
most Premier League teams will be going close to strongest this week, where possible. Obviously, you need to check on recovery, but I'd expect them to play. And actually, if they play the way they played in the first half at Bayern, they'll win at Old Trafford tomorrow.
He took his goal really well, didn't he, Palmer? Really, really good finish. Was
Yeah, when it comes to him, you think he's going to score as well.
Yeah. Was João Pedro involved much as a there'll be a lot of people who've got him.
Dropped short a lot.
Yeah.
In terms of actual chances in the game, no, minimal. But I think that's what he wants to do as a player anyway. And you would probably want him to do it more against an opponent like this. And sometimes maybe against weaker opponents, you think maybe you need to hold against a Lion a little bit more. His performance was fine. And Chelsea played okay. It just ultimately, I mean, it was quite unfair in the sense that Bayern nearly scored an incredible goal where Elise, I mean, he's turned into some player.
Oh yeah,
Wraps one round the corner and it goes just wide. This was at 3-1. And it's after a period Bayern had played some scintillating football. They're olaying in the ground. Chelsea didn't deserve to be in that position where they were having the opposition basically take the piss out of them. I think they have vulnerabilities, Bayern. But when you think further down the line in this tournament, you'll be able to bring the likes of Musiala back in, then yeah, they're going to be strong. I knew when I saw them play us in pre-season that they were going to be stronger this year than they were last year.
yeah,
Um, just a line on Manchester City. Neither me or David watched them last night because we both wanted to watch Newcastle against Barcelona. Game somewhat, I guess, ruined by the red card, although it's definitely the correct decision against Di Lorenzo because Haaland would probably inevitably make it 1-0. The headed goal that Haaland scores, he's quite something, you know.
yeah. It's nice, isn't it?
It's not normal.
Yeah, I
It's
thought
not
Dockett was.
normal. It's not normal in that moment to almost be like a cold killer and just dink it.
Yeah,
In that moment, as it's coming to you over your shoulder and you got to head it, I think your instinct is to try and get as much on it as possible.
yeah,
It's
lovely
almost like he
finish.
just lets it just glide off his head. It's
Yeah,
perfect.
it was nice. Yeah, I thought Doku's goal was good as well. He took
Yeah,
that,
he's
wasn't
playing well at the moment.
he? Yeah,
Listen, if he can add the attacking returns to his game, you're talking about a potential elite player. And I take the piss out of him a lot for fantasy and stuff. But it's that I like the player. When he's not playing against me, I'm thinking, oh, I'm a little bit more comfortable here. Because you destroy anybody 1-on-1.
yeah.
It's just erratic in terms of the final pass. So like these assists for Haaland against United is a really nice thing to see. The notable standout on two standouts for me. One in terms of the weekend, they were obviously allowed to stroll through this game because of the circumstance of the red card. So that's good for them when they've got to go and play Arsenal on Sunday. Phil Foden created 8 chances last night.
Did
I
he
saw a
really?
statistic
Oh,
that's his most he's completed in a game for Manchester City in his career.
wow, good start. Yeah, I didn't realise.
Um, and I can buy him for Verts next week, and it actually allows me to get Gyökeres in 7. So I'm going to spend the weekend thinking about that. I wouldn't go buying Phil Foden this week, but I think City will pick probably a similar team at
Yeah,
Arsenal. I think he's trying to do that again. I'm sure City will heavily rotate in the fixture in midweek against Huddersfield. I saw someone tweeting yesterday about trying to work out if Rangers would get a rest against Burnley, and I'm thinking their Champions League game's not till the Wednesday, by the way, after the Burnley game. It's going to be the Huddersfield game.
yeah.
Pit a different team against Huddersfield. Rangers will play against Arsenal, play against Burnley. Well, it shouldn't be a problem.
It's a shame for De Bruyne, wasn't it? Getting taken off like that. Is the right decision from Conte when you go down to 10 men, sort of stage of career. De Bruyne is that he's probably is the one to come off, isn't he? But yeah, shame it ended like that last night for him.
Yeah, I think we made the right decision in terms of the game we watched.
Yeah,
What did you make of Newcastle Barca, mate?
I loved it. I thought from start to finish it was just great occasion, wasn't it? Like the crowd were clearly up for it. Started off like a house on fire, Newcastle. And I think if they take one of those chances early on, I mean, obviously it's a different game, isn't it? But Harvey Barnes had a good chance, Gordon had a good chance. Barcelona just kind of, I know you're not a cricket fan, but I was thinking it's a bit like trying to sort of see off the new ball in the first few overs, and then you can start scoring runs. And Barcelona managed to do that. Really, they played and missed a few times to carry on the analogy, but then they were able to sort of play their football, weren't they, from about 20, 25 minutes in. And then as the game wore on, Pedri and De Jong were more of an influence, weren't they? They knocked it about quite well. Although Newcastle were always never far. They were never out of the game, even when Rashford scored the goals. I think Newcastle can take quite a lot of credit from their performance, really. They did play well. But two great goals, weren't they? I mean, the first header from Rashford gets great power on it, I think, from
Yeah, it was a surprise, actually.
because I don't think Koundé whips it in with massive pace. That there is a bit on it, but he
No, he has to put work into the header. Yeah.
he times his header really well. And the second one is whew,
Yeah, it
absolutely,
was like, wow.
yeah. I've not
Most
seen
people, most people who weren't supporting either team would have gone, wow.
Yeah, it was a wow moment. Yeah, I've not seen Rashford hit a ball like that for a long time. And like, I'll be honest, like this is not a dig at Newcastle or United, but it was nice to see him look happy, wasn't it? Last night, I was pleased for him to score the goals. Yeah,
Thomas Tuchel trying his hardest not to
yeah,
smile, surrounded by a load of joys.
he did a good job there. To be fair, didn't he? Yeah, it was a good
Yeah,
game,
no,
really good game.
listen, that's great to see. I mean, first English player to score for Barcelona since Gary Lineker,
Wow.
which is a wild statistic. Not that there's been many Englishmen have obviously played there, but we've come used to seeing English players score for Real Madrid or other European clubs in Germany, Italy, etc. That's kind of mad, isn't it? You're talking about 40 years since an Englishman last scored for Barcelona. That strike on the second goal, you can't teach that.
No,
It's not that you can teach someone to strike a ball from the distance that he strikes it. The technique is insane because most people at that, he does kind of almost like a step over, like he's going to feint to kind of stand on the ball or stop or turn, and he just shimmies it and carries it. And most people at that point will shoot. It's fine, but it's shooting round the ball, almost like you're going to hit it on your instep and kind of like curl it
yeah,
one way or the other. He manages from the angle to strike like he's running onto it straight on.
yeah, it's a
It's not
worldie.
normal. You
Yeah,
can't go down the park and try and kick a football like that. And
yeah,
I'm telling you, most people can't do it.
yeah,
He strikes through the center of like off the top of his foot. The technique's outrageous and he just flies. So it almost becomes like a knuckleball kind of strike. Brilliant goal, yeah. And I think, yeah, that the header he took really well. And it was a shame what happened with the headed goal from a Newcastle perspective because Fabian Schär's feeling him. He's got his hand against him, and Rashford just stops. And Schär's instinct is to go backwards, and he's probably similar to what we was thinking. Well, go on then. Probably
yeah.
don't anyway. But Schär had just taken this whack off the face from another effort from Rashford, which meant he had to go off a couple of minutes later. I would say he would be a massive doubt for Newcastle on Sunday, as we'll cover off in
I,
a second.
I hope he doesn't play for his own health. To be honest, it didn't look good. That.
Do you know
Yeah,
what? It's really conflicting this, and this is why the conversation for a different time.
yeah, yeah,
But concussion substitutes are right
yeah.
because it's easy now to say that's on the medical team. Oh, they should take him straight off the pitch, but it's been well documented that it can take like 10 minutes or so to kind of kick in. Players need, if there's any doubt, a player needs taken out of the game for 10 minutes, basically.
Players always want to play on as well, don't they? It's just human nature, isn't it? But sometimes you need that taken out of your hands. I think. No, that's not me saying Newcastle's medical team did anything wrong last night, but just seeing how he appeared after it happened didn't look good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I would imagine he won't play at Bournemouth on
and
Sunday.
Tio did quite well when he came on as well. I think so. He
Yeah, yeah, he did. I thought he did in the brief period he came on against yourselves in game week 2 as well. So
yeah,
that's the natural replacement. That would make more sense than playing Botman and Burn. I think Newcastle should still be quite encouraged by the performance. There's a lot of anger last night about Gordon playing the 9 position rather than Baltimore. Um, One, I don't think any of us are really there to kind of know how his match fitness is. And it's one thing playing against Wolves, it's another playing against Barcelona. We know Gordon can be incredible from the pressing side of things. Sometimes not to his own benefit, as seen with a red card against Liverpool in game week 2. But they went with this triple threat of pace in behind, and Barcelona are there to be hurt over and over again with the ball in behind. So I think he looked at it from that and also the pressing situation. I understood the reason Eddie Howe made
yeah.
those choices. If Gordon scores from a Langer's cross, don't think anyone's moaning about it.
No.
And I
Also, Gordon.
don't think there's a guarantee that Voltemade would have scored in that scenario. We could all do that hindsight.
Yeah, he had to play Gordon last night in some capacity, didn't he? Because he can't play at the weekend, so he knows he needs Voltemada at Bournemouth at the weekend. So yeah,
Yeah, Newcastle fans weren't questioning that Gordon was playing. I think they would have wanted
yeah,
Gordon off the left,
off the
and
left, yeah,
probably I know a few of our patrons not too happy with the way Harvey Barnes has been playing recently. Let's move on to that game on Sunday. We've got a graphic up on YouTube showing potential lineups for the two teams at the weekend. Firstly, on Bournemouth, I think we can largely be quite confident in terms of what we get, bar one or two personnel selection issues. So we're going with more of this 4-1-4-1 recently with Tyler Adams a bit deeper. Tavernier and Scott doing really well ahead of that. Brooks and Semenyo, the question mark on them is probably not if they'll play, but which side. And I wouldn't be surprised, by the way, if that's a late decision based on the Newcastle team, because we've seen them change again last week. And I think it probably is something to be said about getting Semenyo against the player that they feel they can hurt the most. Might even be a case of that. Back for probably Hill, Milicevic, centre side Troffer, subject to injury issues of others. I kind of, Andoni Iraola's press will be late this afternoon, but got the impression from last week that Diakite probably wouldn't be back for this one. So we know largely what we'll get from Bournemouth. They've had a free week. This is a nightmare game for Newcastle, and I've been saying this since the Champions League draw. You've playing the high emotion of last night against one of the elite names of world football and what that means. Anybody who watched the game last night could see how good the atmosphere looked, certainly during at least the first quarter of the game. And now you've got to do the longest distance away game in the Premier League, less than 72 hours within. As you said off camera to me, they'll probably only do light training recovery today because you couldn't say Newcastle didn't put the shift in last night. I think that they probably didn't quite give it 100% in the last 20 minutes or so, because I think it was a period around 75, 80 where the game looked done. And Newcastle deserve credit for still keeping it alive right till the end. They'll do training Saturday, then they'll probably fly, I would guess, late afternoon, early evening Saturday. Then the game's 2 o'clock Sunday, and you are walking into, in my opinion, the best pound for pound pressing team in the league.
Yeah.
They're incessant.
Agreed. Yeah. Yeah. It's like the worst possible cocktail, really, isn't it? In terms of when Newcastle play Bournemouth, just like we said off camera, yeah, it'd be a recovery day today, and they've got to get to Bournemouth tomorrow. Presumably they'll fly, so there's the actual kind of on-field preparation time for this is minimal, isn't it? And Gordon's still suspended, so they're without one of their best attackers as well. So yeah, on the face of it, it feels like a good chance for Bournemouth to get the 3 points for this one, doesn't it?
So the graphic I've got up on screen, the Newcastle team, I'll just read it out for the benefit of those on the audio. Pope, Livramento, Shaw, Burn, maybe a start for Lewis Hall. Just thinking about Trippier's turnaround period here. And also Semenyo concerns, because I think if Trippier plays, Semenyo will play on the left. Tonali, Gimrez, Joe Linton, I think probably all play. Joe Linton came off after the hour. Elanga and Barnes, either side of Walter. Elanga and Barnes both came off quite early. But when I look at that and I put it together, it doesn't feel right. Like, I think Jacob Murphy plays potentially. And you could end up with a scenario here where if Hall plays, maybe the right hand side looks like Livramento and Murphy. And then because of Hall's lack of kind of pre-season and minutes recently, maybe then Semenyo plays on the right and they go, right, well, we're going to attack it this way. I think there's also a chance here we see a system that's very similar to the Leeds game, where Botman maybe comes in at the middle of those two centre backs. It becomes a back three, and maybe they go with something that's more like a 5-3-2. Maybe even Murphy and Walter as a two in front of the midfield three. Lots of question marks here. Have you got any particular thoughts on what Newcastle might do based on what you've seen last night? Because this is why I wanted to cover this one, because I'm not sure.
No, I'm not sure either. I was just flagging up on Twitter some comments from Eddie Howe last night about Jacob Murphy saying he is managing an injury issue at the moment. So
yeah. I think it was even going into game week 1 against Villa. He'd said that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that front three on the graphic, there's a good chance that'll be right with Langer, Barnes, and Voltemada. No, I thought it's tough, isn't it? One thing you can say about Newcastle is that they've always got a chance with that midfield three, haven't they? It's probably better than Bournemouth's, pound for pound.
Well, it can at least match the energy of it in that area of the pitch. Yeah, as long as they're right. What none of us can measure is the emotional. There's the physical aspects of the weekend, of Thursday. We can all kind of have an understand. What's the emotional? You go from that to it's just Bournemouth. Like, if you do that, you've lost.
Yeah, it's tricky, isn't it, from the emotional point of view? Yeah, I don't think Eddie Howe's got a great record against Bournemouth, has he?
No, I don't think he's beaten them.
No. Yeah, it's Not to say Newcastle can't get anything in this game, of course they can, but it's quite a tight pitch, isn't it, at the Vitality? So maybe they can kind of make the game a little bit scrappy and sort of stay in the game with that midfield three. There's no saying that Bournemouth will overpower them, but yeah, just the stars might align, I think, in terms of the intensity of Bournemouth and the fact that Newcastle have had such a emotional and energetic game so recently, like literally last night when it's a couple of days away and they've got to travel so far. It just feels like the logical thing is to assume Bournemouth they've got a lot of things in their favour for this one.
As it stands, subject to the team news today, I'm going to captain Semenyo.
Yeah, don't hate that at all. Yeah.
Before anyone else, no, I don't have Salah. Um, but the only other person I think if you gave me kind of, we'll talk about this in a second, free hits. I think the only other player, if you gave me free reign over, and even this has got a question mark over, which sums up the difficulty of captaincy this week if you don't own Salah, is Mateta at West Ham. And that's despite Glasner saying comments in midweek that he's not kind of at 100% and he's tired. I'd just be thinking, yeah, West Ham. That's probably my decision process here to say, yeah, I'd like Mateta for captain. If you're not going Salah, it's absolutely wide open. You can
It
pick
is, yeah.
any of about 10 or 15 players, I
Yeah.
think, and wouldn't particularly fancy any of them. I think I would regret my choice essentially is Semenyo versus Watkins versus Gakpo. And Gakpo is a minor minutes concern. I do think he'll start, but I think there's a
Really,
minor minutes concern there where it could be the 59-minute, probably more the point than him not starting. I've got no faith in Villa and Watkins at the moment. I'm not convinced that they'll even beat Sunderland. Whereas I do think Bournemouth will beat Newcastle. What annoys me about it is I don't know which side of the pitch Semenya will play on. But I
yeah.
do think they're doing something to try and expose weaknesses in an opponent by where he is playing at the moment because he's going up a level here where Bournemouth might be in the Champions League next year. I wouldn't rule that out as a complete impossibility, but one way or the other, he may well be either way.
Yeah. I've not got Semenyo and I don't feel good about that this weekend. So that probably sums it up. I think captaining him, he's on pens, isn't he? So yeah, don't I wouldn't put you off at all.
Any
Captain
reason?
Semenyo.
Any reason not to captain Salah this week?
Not after the other night, no. I think there were probably, myself included, some concerns about Mo's form this season, but we had the old Mo back on. The only thing I'd say is, I was maybe going to cover it on the Patreon pod later, but Everton's left back, it's been James Garner against Aston Villa. Will that be the same, do you think, tomorrow? Is Mikalenko back in again?
I saw the word on Mikalenko was that he was not spotted in training photos that went around yesterday.
Yeah. So
Garner, can I just say Garner might defend him better than Mikalenko?
Mikalenko's had some good games against
Yeah.
Salah over the years. But yeah,
Looking at Salah's record against Everton makes me think otherwise.
yeah, yeah. But in terms of that individual matchup, yeah, Mikalenko's done okay actually. Be interesting who plays at right back for us tomorrow because Frimpong had a good game on Wednesday night and he got taken off about an hour. So I think there's every chance Frimpong could play again, maybe. But Bradley might be the sort of lad you'd want in a Merseyside derby. So, but yeah, we could overload that right hand side with Salah and Frimpong, and then that could be quite good for Mo, I think. But I mean, let's be honest, he is the best captaincy option this week, probably regardless of the other night. But if you wanted to feel better about it, you've got every reason to captain Mo now. If you've got him, I've got him, and I'll be captaining him definitely.
Okay. Before we have a look at free hit and wildcard, Josh, just a wrap up of other bits from the week in terms of Carabao Cup results. Villa went out on penalties to Brentford. It's becoming a good season for them so far. Goal for Harvey Elliott. So Villa did at least score, and let me tell you that the keeper should have done better with it if you haven't seen the goal.
See
Crystal
that?
Palace beat Millwall on penalties. Will Crystal Palace have a blank game week just before Christmas? They might do. Me and Suj are going to talk about that more on a Chip Talk podcast, most likely next Tuesday. Nottingham Forest, fucking hell, man. Completely dominated Swansea by all accounts. Got themselves in a position where they conceded like a late level in the 93rd minute and then conspired to even lose the game to Swansea, which inevitably caused the Ange memes and Forest fans. I'm really sorry. I'm gonna look straight down the camera at you. You're gonna have to deal with this. I'm telling you, every defeat you have is going to be blown out of all proportions. You changed the whole team. You played quite well. You lost. But unfortunately, Angie's there. That creates headlines. You want to be a big club. Sorry. Get used to criticism. Champions League. Rest of the Carabao Cup ties are obviously this coming midweek. Just a few notes. I watched Bruges against Monaco yesterday. Outstanding in the first half. Slaughtered them, David. Absolutely give them a complete walloping after Agliuch had a penalty save from Simon Mignolet quite early on. And Union Saint Gilloise also won at PSV on
Mm-hmm.
Tuesday as well. It's a good start for the Belgian clubs. Jose's back. He's at Benfica after they sacked Johan Lange, after they somehow conspired to blow a 2-goal lead at home to Carabao Shop FC and lose 3-2. There was a wild one in Turin. I don't know how many games I can think of, David, that have been 0-0 at half time and finished 4-4. Let me know if you can think of any.
I
Got
definitely
any
can't. No,
got any advances on that?
no spring to mind. No.
Kylian Mbappe got 2 penalties in Real Madrid's victory against Marseille, which featured Danny Carvajal getting sent off. I caught bits of Slavia Prague and Bodo Glimt. That looked like a lot of fun. There was an XG of over 5 in the second half of that game, which I think lays into what I already know, Bodo's commitment to go forward. And they did really well here to come back from 2-0 down. Although Slavia wants shooting with how many men they got advanced at 2-1 up with a couple of minutes to go, which is similar to what happened on Dortmund when they were 4-3 up at Juventus. You went Marcus Thuram in UCL Fantasy. 2 goals from corners in victory at Ajax. Paris Saint-Germain are still shit, as you might have noticed. Beat Atalanta 4-0. It was a late leveler for Leverkusen after Copenhagen, who, by all accounts, many of our patrons have played quite well yesterday. Probably should have won. Loved the limbs behind the goal in the Parken Stadium when Copenhagen went in front. Sporting beat Kairat 4-1, although Kairat looked like they had a 12-year-old in goal, but he did save a penalty. Frankfurt beat Galatasaray 5-1. Galatasaray probably should spend some more money. That's kind of a wrap up of your stuff from midweek. I think that covered just about every result. I think. Oh, credit to Paphos, who got a 0-0 against Olympiacos, despite playing a lot of that match with 10 men.
David
Coming
Luiz
in,
is Paphos.
is David Luiz there? Is he?
Yeah, he played in the middle of the back three for them apparently.
Well, that doesn't explain the clean sheet. Tell me about your free hit, David. Oh, sorry. Let's clarify. You're not on free hit because you
No,
wouldn't want to be.
no, I'm not on free hit, and I'm aligned with you. To quote you, I hate it. um, I don't imagine many people will be on free hit this week, or maybe there'll be one or two, but it doesn't seem like a great set of fixtures for it this week.
No, I suppose there's probably combinations of things of people looking at maybe quite a number of maybe players from the Manchester clubs. Maybe
Yeah,
doesn't feel particularly good this week. You might have Tarkowski, Shrewsbury Hall, Grealish as well, Everton. You probably need that sort of combination to kind of be. There's a difference between hating this week and loving this week. I don't think anybody's particularly loving this week, but
I
to be
think
in a
it's
position to hate it enough, probably not.
I think it's best summed up by the fact that when I was making my draft, at one point, the message flagged up on the screen saying, "You have too many Fulham players." Um, so maybe that's not a great sign. But so I've got 3 Fulham players. I've got Bert Leno and Joachim Anderson with Muniz up front. So they're the 3 Fulham. I'll go front to back. So Leno in goal, Gabriel, Virgil, and Anderson at the back. Do quite fancy Arsenal to beat City on Sunday.
Same.
They've completely get what you're saying about City being able to kind of manage the game quite well last night, but facts are Arsenal got 48 hours more to prepare for this game than City have. That's quite a lot, isn't it, at this level?
Yeah, I think that counteracts a little bit because
Travel and stuff.
City were able to stroll through the game. Also, it's worth saying, I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, exact same time of last season, Arsenal went to the Etihad, Leandro Trossard's second yellow card, sending off. And Arsenal had played away to Atalanta on the Thursday.
Okay.
So Arsenal still managed to get through it in the reverse circumstances.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. It's an elite game. What I mean by that is in terms of the mentality, the Newcastle players that come down from Thursday, Bournemouth, they might be getting told, listen, this team's so hot in terms of the press, yada yada yada. It still eats Bournemouth. Man City fans are not going to players are not going to rock up at Arsenal and not realise the magnitude of the football match.
Of course not. No arguments there. But I do still think Arsenal will win the game. So
Agreed.
Yeah, Gabriel, Virgil, Anderson at the back, Salah as captain. Managed to squeeze Cole Palmer in there. Semenyo vice captain. So go back to what I say. Don't hate people without Salah going for Semenyo as captain this week. Jaden Anthony. Quite fancy Burnley tomorrow. I'll be honest. Maybe we'll talk about that on the.
Stop digging out Forest. I agree with you.
Uh, yeah, Jaden Anthony might get some joy if Forest are going to push up. He's looked there most likely, I think, so far this season. Three up front: Gyökeres, Mateta, and Muniz, and then Cheats out the bench really. So Dubravka on the bench. I've gone for stack of Leeds, just because kind of ran out of money towards the end. Konsa if one of the defenders doesn't start, and Agbadu as a 4.5. Yeah, I'm not in love with it. I've got to be honest.
So, in terms of, excuse me, players the same, we've only got three.
Really?
Yeah, and you probably guess what those three are. I think probably the listeners before they even see my team could guess. Salah, Semenyo, Van Dijk.
Yeah.
Um,
Mateta,
uh,
Mateta as well.
sorry, and Mateta. Yes, four. You're quite right. Can I just ask David? You've on your free hit, you got Semenyo vice captain.
Yeah.
Is that just you didn't piss about with FPL team too much, or would that legitimately be your vice captain choice?
Be my vice captain choice, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that makes me feel better about what I might be doing with my team.
Yeah.
Right, so I'll read mine out. Raya in goal. So there's the Arsenal coverage. I think it will probably be a low scoring victory for Arsenal. Therefore, I do think there's probably Hall potential there for the goalkeeper. Van Dijk, double Palace defence. Lacroix would nearly be first choice defender pick for me this week with the way West Ham defend set plays. And Munoz is obviously perfectly reasonable as well. Salah, Semenyo, Gakpo, Rogers, Watkins, João Pedro, Mateta. With João Pedro, I tried to do it from my own perspective of if I was on free hit, would I be comfortable taking him out for, oh, I think this forward is X better than him this week? And the answer would probably be no. And I've already had that happen to me in game week 2, and that didn't go so well. Oh, I wonder who the opponents were. Subs, Darlow, King, Estev, Goodmanson, cheaping it out. I wanted to ask David, just to go back to yours. You've only got two Liverpool.
Haven't I? Yeah. I did have Akatike.
I have, haven't I? Yeah, it's your team, mate. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And
I
by the
did
way,
have.
can I just say before you answer that, that's not slighting on Everton here. It's just actually the fixtures are a bit of a bitch this weekend. So it does feel
Yeah.
like free Liverpool is obvious.
Yeah. I did have Akatike in there at one point, and then I feel like um, I could I could get Gyökeres in there. There's just a bit of doubt, isn't there, with Akatike and Isak. I do think it'd be Ekatike, but you just never know. Yeah, just the way it's worked out. I mean, probably is an oversight that, as I said, I'm not a massive fan of free hit this week, but
Oh, I think it's awful.
yeah, probably should have three Liverpool in there in all fairness.
I think it's awful. I think this is like a really good challenge for people to do. When should our free hit? Go on FPL team and go through the weeks and look at what you pick for a free hit team. I
Yeah.
don't think you'd be landed on this week personally. Right, wild cards. Let's see how different these are. Go on, David. Wild card this week, and I noticed who's got the C this week. You've put Semenyo as well, so I'm double happy. So
Yeah.
no Salah on wild card for you if you were doing it.
If I was doing it this week, no, because if I'm wildcarding, I, yeah, clearly Salah's the best captain this week, but we've got Haaland. We've got Haaland time coming, haven't we? Specifically next week. So kind of just going to have to stomach him in the team this week on wildcard, I think. Not to say you can't return at the Emirates, of course you can. Um, yeah, try to. So I've left zero point 0.5 in the bank here because I've got Watkins at the moment, because I do think over the next few, he's got better fixtures than Gyökeres, but I've left the money in to make that Watkins to Gyökeres move for when Arsenal's fixtures get better in 7. Got Palmer in and Joao Pedro. Left that third Chelsea spot open nearer the time. Could be a Caicedo, could be a Chelsea defender. We'll see. Yeah, defensively wise, so Senesi and Van Dijk are in, both DEFCON monsters so far, aren't they? Romero, I've got Porro, but I think Romero's every bit as good as Porro at the moment, isn't he, in terms of clean sheets? Um, I watched Porro at West Ham last week, and he didn't really look like getting an attacking return, I don't think.
That's interesting because Kudus nearly scored towards the end with the only time this season that he has, and he crossed it.
Was that Porro, was it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, fair dues then. um, yeah, Romero had a goal ruled out, didn't he? Soft goal ruled out, I think, in the first half.
I didn't need to
Um,
moan about it, mate. It was that easy.
yeah, he is a threat set pieces, I think. Got Gabriel in for when you're not going to want to piss about with that. I think you're going to want Gabriel over the next few weeks. Uh, put Xavi Simons in, Semenyo, and then the three up front: Haaland, Joao Pedro, Watkins. Cheats out the bench really. So Josh King will be useful to me when I make the Haaland move next week, I think. Goodmanson's a 4.0. Dewsbury Hall, you can play him over the next sort of short to mid-term, really. Everton's fixtures aren't too bad, and Dubravka's the reserve keeper. But yeah, I don't think it's a great week to wildcard. I think next week makes more sense, I think.
So, interestingly, despite the fact you hated it, I hated it, and us having many different decisions on the two free hit teams that we showed, there were 11 the same
Right.
of my choices. And it's kind of effective 12 in the sense that you went for Goodmanson and I went for Rodon.
Yeah.
We've basically nearly ended up with exactly the same bench. Dubravka, Dewsbury Hall, King. I went for Rodon. You went for Goodmanson. I think you could flip a coin between them, by the way, guys. If you ask David, he's going to tell you Goodmanson. If you ask me, I'm going to tell you Rodon. So, differences in mine, and I'll read all of it, but the differences in mine, I've got Gakpo in, and I went Chris Richards and Adarabioyo at the back. So not going Romero allowed me a little bit more to have Gakpo rather than Simmons. And I've gone Richards rather than Senesi. That's kind of the differences here between the two teams. So mine, goalkeepers, Petrovic and Dubravka, defenders, Richards, Adarabioyo, Virgil van Dijk, Gabriel, Rodon in reserve, midfield, Semenyo, Palmer, Gakpo, Dewsbury Hall, Josh King, same front three, Haaland, Watkins, and João Pedro. Intriguing that.
Mm.
So, but I'd still hate it. I don't even know if that would look like a template wild card. Honestly, I hate it.
Yeah. Not a
I
fan of
sent it
it.
to you and went, I hate it.
You did, yeah.
Don't like it at all. I feel like it's really awkward to manage the balance of it's like you're wild carding and you're not wild carding with the best captain this week. It feels bonkers. Now, unless you've got if you've got two free transfers, I think you probably are going Mo now, and you're booking in that you're going to Haaland next week. But I think from wildcard now, the sensible solution is rather than smash it for a -4 next week, just put the big man in.
Yeah.
They lost 5-1 at Arsenal last year, and he scored,
That's it.
and
Yeah.
he's on it, isn't he?
He is on it. Yeah.
So Watkins is like, it's just playing a few more fixtures. And I think with Watkins, it holds for Gyökeres near enough. They're close enough in value that it holds for that. João Pedro, fine. Palmer, Semenyo, I think would be givens if you're doing it now. And then it's the setup. But I hated the fact that I picked a back four. And obviously, Richard Adarabioyo is kind of rotating with Dewsbury Hall. But I hated the fact that I put two players in there. I didn't even really want them. Now, it could have been Van der Ven instead of Adarabioyo or Richards. Was like, Palace are doing bits at West Ham tomorrow, in my opinion. So I've got to have some of that. I'm in ahead of Chelsea's swing, so I've got the free Chelsea in. So it means on the path I can focus on Arsenal transfers. Yeah, I still hate it. End of podcast.
Bye
If
for
you're on
now.
wildcard this week, good luck. Play it your way. If you're on free hit, good luck. Play it your way. Thank you, David. You'll be joining me for the differential show that we'll be recording shortly. That will be available for patrons at Intermediate Plus and above later today. Intermediate Plus tier patrons also have access to the team news stream today, which will be at 3:30 p.m. UK time. It's a Zoom call for advanced tier patrons at 4:30. You might catch me somewhere else on YouTube around about 6 o'clock today, but it won't be on this channel. Don't know if I'm allowed to tell you anything yet, so I'm not going to say anything more. Deadline stream is at 10 a.m. UK time tomorrow. There'll be no Q&A afterwards because I need to get to the Amex. Anything else, David?
No, not from me. Just looking forward to Derby Day tomorrow.
Good stuff. Very
Yeah,
best of luck with that. Good luck to our Evertonians as well. Don't want you to feel left out.
of
Very
course.
best of luck. You have a great record at Anfield. It may, but yeah, moving on. That's it. I think. Have a great weekend, everyone. Smash your like, hit the sub button. For the audio listeners, a 5-star review goes a really long way. And for your benefit, cue music, please. Man child.